there are a few ways to schedule meetings in Teams. What I recommend is, and all of you should have classes set up already in Teams. You should already have your classes set up, okay? And your classes were automatically set up by the district. So the first thing that I would honestly recommend is that you create a channel in your team for online meetings. So if you create a channel for online meetings, I would recommend that as the first step, creating a channel in your team for online meetings. Once you do that, that's one of the ways that we're gonna look to schedule meetings, okay? So these are the class meetings that you'll have with your students and that you'll invite your students to. So let me just start with the first option. The first option to schedule a meeting is the option to create new. So what I have to do is I have to actually go to my calendar. So my calendar is on my left-hand side in the Teams app. You have to open the Teams app, go to the calendar in the left-hand side. When you look in the top right, there are two options. One, meet now, and two, new meeting. So if you are planning to meet with your students, let's say you're meeting with your classes, during your every Monday at 8 o'clock, you can schedule a new meeting. You'll add your meeting title, so whatever you want your meeting title to be. I'm gonna just put test meeting. Okay. The attendees part, this option here, you don't have to really put anything here because the option I'm showing you now when you're scheduling a meeting, I'm showing you the option to add the meeting to the channel, which is what you want to do. So once you put your title, you put your date, you put your time, this option where it says add channel, this is where you're going to select the team, the class team. So I'm going to select this one, and then you're going to select the channel that you want to add the meeting to. So remember I told you to create an online meeting channel. So I'm going to add it to the channel that says online meetings. And then here where it says notes, you can just put, whatever your agenda, your meeting agenda is, whatever topics you're covering for that meeting. And that really is it. So clicking on the calendar, selecting new meeting, entering the meeting title, putting the date, and adding it to a channel. Once you do that, you hit send. What that will then do is when you go into that team and you go into that online meeting, it puts the meeting right here in the channel. So all the students who are in that class will be able to go to the channel that says online meetings and click on this link to join the meeting at that time. Now, there's one other step that I would recommend that you do just to kind of alert the students to let them know that this meeting was scheduled. And that's to click reply, type in the @ symbol, which looks like that, the @ symbol, and then you're going to mention the name of the class. So once you start typing in the name of the class, you'll see it populate. And then once you click on it, you'll mention the class and you can put join this meeting and then you hit send. And what that does is it alerts the entire group and it gives all the students a notification that this meeting is happening. So you can choose to do that before the meeting starts, like right before the meeting starts, when you schedule the meeting, it's really up to you, but you're giving the students an alert to let them know that you have scheduled this meeting, and they'll get a little notification here that will take them right to the channel. And when the meeting starts, they just hit that join button. Okay, so what I showed you was how to create a new meeting and how to add a meeting to a channel. Another option you have, if you remember, when we go back to this calendar here, is this option to meet now. This meet now is if, let's say, you were talking to a student, you had a phone conference or something, or let's say, you were talking to a colleague and you wanted to share your screen or share something with them, you can just select meet now, and that meet now option here will allow you to just have a meeting scheduled and just, do it right here on the fly. So that's what that Meet Now option is, scheduling a meeting on the fly. Another way to meet now, and it kind of goes into one of our other topics, which are our office hours. If you have a channel, another recommendation is to have a channel that you add to your class that's for office hours, because in this channel, you can actually use the Meet Now option to, let's say you're going to be available to your students from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Well, you can kind of, what you can do is open up a meeting and just have the meeting open for students to pop in when they need help. So you would see it down here at the bottom. You're going to click on that little camera icon. And for me, I see it up here. You're going to click that camera icon for Meet Now, and then you can add a subject. So for here, if I want to type in office hours for today's date, which is what, the 12/05/12/20, I can put it like that. And then when I click Meet Now, it actually starts this meeting. And I just have this meeting going, and I can still do all of my work in Teams. And you notice how it says join here. When the kids pop into this channel, they'll see join and they can pop in and ask you questions. You're just making yourself available. You could turn your camera off, you can mute your sound until someone joins the actual meeting. And when they join the meeting, then you can help the students as needed. And again, you see here toward the left-hand side of the channel, on the left rail, there's a little camera icon that appears once a meeting has started in a channel to kind of let the students know again that that's happening. So I'm going to end it there. But that is how you would use that Meet Now option in the channel, and that would be a great way to be available to your students for office hours. Another thing that I wanted to show you was how to create your meetings in Outlook using your Outlook email. This option is going to be great when you start to have, let's say, virtual conferences with parents who are not attached to your team. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my Office 365 here, and I'm going to actually click on Calendar. I'm going to click on Calendar, and Calendar is going to open. And remember, this is all your Outlook. So it's all your Outlook. So it really doesn't matter that you click on Outlook or whatever. It's all tied to your Outlook calendar. So when I clicked on my calendar, it opened up my calendar, and I'm going to click here for New Event in the left-hand side. So I'm going to show you the Outlook online, and I'm going to show you the Outlook in the desktop, because you might use the desktop versus the online version. Everybody has access to the online version. So when you click New Event, you would add a title. Test. I'm going to call this one a virtual conference with Miss with student. Is a meeting with, let's say, the parents. Now, here is where you would put in the parents' email address, right? I would put the parents' email address here because I want to invite them directly to this virtual conference. So I put their email address, I put the time, okay? And then this is the important part here. Right here in the center, it says Teams meeting. You want to turn this option on. When you turn this option on, it actually generates a link, and that link is what you and the parent will click on so that you can have this virtual meeting in Microsoft Teams. So once you put your title, you put your recipients, you put your date, and you turn this option on. If you want to put some text here, like please join me, or whatever you would like, then you can hit send, and then it will create the meeting, and the parents will get a copy of that meeting, and they will have a link to be able to join that meeting. So let me show you what it looks like. The parents are going to see this. You see how it's automatically generated? They'll see that and they'll know to join. So that, again, that was one way to create in Outlook. So from the Outlook calendar, clicking new event, filling out the details, and turning on that Teams option. The next one would be if you're using Outlook in the desktop. So I'm going to go click on Outlook in the desktop now so that we can take a look at that. So I'm going to actually click on the calendar in Outlook. Okay, so on the calendar in Outlook, you should have these options here. And then in the top, you're going to click New Teams Meeting. So again, you have to go into calendar in your Outlook, okay? When you go into New Teams Meeting, again, you fill out your title. You can put who you would want to invite that's required, okay? You can put optional people if you would like. Put your start and stop time, and it's already a Microsoft Teams meeting because you chose it right here. So you don't have to turn any of these options on and off. And you see that the Teams meeting link is here. If you want to put a little message here, you can, and you would add that meeting to your calendar. Okay, so this is the option. Once you're finished, you hit send and it saves it to your calendar. So let me just hit send so you can see. Oh, I'll ignore that repeated word. So it should be added to my calendar down here. So you should see it down there. Okay, so going back to this, we looked at how to create a new meeting. We looked at how to use the Meet Now option. We saw that when we were creating a new meeting, we added a meeting in a channel. We looked at how to schedule a meeting in Outlook. We're going to talk briefly about virtual conferences and how those work, and the office hours, which we kind of talked about already. So let me go back to the browser. Let me see which one. Unpin this. I don't know why that's there. One suggestion I do have for the virtual conferences, because you're making yourself available to, let's say, the parents and the families. And again, these are people who don't have access to the Teams. One recommendation that I do have for those virtual conferences is to create a form. When you create a form, it allows, think of it as like a registration form. It allows for the parents to be able to register for times that you give them for a virtual conference so that you can send them those Outlook invitations. A form for a virtual conference, I'll show you an example. You can use Microsoft Forms to create it, and it's just a survey. And you could take a look at this example here. It's simple. What's the child's name, the child's last name, the email address of the parent, because you're going to need that to be able to send them that Outlook calendar invitation for the meeting, the parent's name, and then you'll have them choose a date and a time based on what you put for your availability. This is actually a calendar option, so they can select the date. And then the times that you're available, you'll put that. And then if there's any, you can add a question for them to put any of their concerns that they'd like to discuss. So you'll get that form response, and then you can use that to set up your virtual conferences and host your virtual conferences with parents and families within Microsoft Teams. To have a team meeting where you're setting it up through Outlook, you don't have, that person doesn't have to be part of like the Miami-Dade schools organization. If you set it up through Outlook and just send the invitation to them with their email address, even if it's like a Gmail, they'll still be able to join in the meeting. You'll have to, you may have to enter to allow them in from the lobby, but we're going to talk about those kind of meeting permissions in the next half hour. Okay, right now I just wanted to show you how to create the meetings in the different ways. And these meetings can be for virtual conferences and office hours. And we did already talk about office hours. And again, that recommendation for the office hours was to really add a channel in your team for office hours and online meetings, so you can host these different sessions within the channel itself. The channels, when you create them this way, it truly helps to keep you organized and helps for the students to easily identify where to go in your team. If you're having it in the general channel gets very crowded and the kids might get lost. But if you have a designated channel for office hours and for online meetings, then the students will know where to go. And also remember the other tip, which was to mention the name of the team so that the students get an actual notification about the meeting. Okay, so at this time, Ophelia and Carmen, we're actually going to open it up for questions at this time. And then I don't know if there's anything in the chat, Ophelia and Carmen, that you wanted to bring forth.
There's a question about how to, which one is better, Teams or Zoom? So I don't know if you want to add your.
Yeah, I'll answer that. Okay, so Zoom has one functionality, and that is just to have meetings. Teams has multiple functionalities. As you can see, you can have a class team. In a class team, you can have conversations with students where they can post discussions. You can share files with students. Like, for example, if I'm having a meeting with my students and I wanted to share meeting notes with them, they can easily access it from files. Teams has a lot more security than Zoom. I'm sure you've heard of Zoom bombing, and that's happened to many teachers in our district. There is a lot of security measures that are put in place by Microsoft that allows for that not to happen. And so what you're getting with Teams is the ability to have the online meetings in an online meeting space, but you also have that classroom collaboration, communication feature, because it's happening within your class team, within the channels of your class team. Another really important thing is when you have a meeting in a channel like this, all the chat that's happening in that Teams meeting will actually populate. And if the meeting is being recorded, the recording will post right inside of this particular thread. And it's going to be a lot nicer for the students who may have missed the meeting to be able to go to this post and see the questions that were asked in the chat and the answers that were provided, and also click on the meeting video right here in the chat to be able to view the content that they missed from the meeting. So Teams is more robust. It comes with a lot more. Zoom has one functionality and it lacks security. I don't know if you guys want to add anything, Carmen and Ophelia, to that.
No, I think the security is the biggest issue here compared to Zoom. I know the teachers like Zoom because they like looking at all the children at once, you know, throughout the meetings, but I think we have to think about security, and I think the easiest way is through Teams and just keep it all in one place. And again, depending the grade level, depending what your focus is. But again, I would just keep it simple and keep it in one platform.
And the way that we teach is obviously going to change when we participate in remote learning, right? Our pedagogy. So we're used to traditional setting, looking at all our students having us as the focus. But in an online meeting, you're going to be sharing content with students. So they're going to automatically see your screen, just like you're seeing my screen, because you're sharing content with your students. So that feature of being able to see your whole class for an hour, that is not an ideal way to conduct a remote learning classroom meeting. That really is not. Okay, the content is supposed to be shared. The chat feature is supposed to be used. And that, you know, we kind of have to shift our thinking and shift our pedagogy in some ways when we approach remote learning. Okay. Any more questions in the chat? We have 5 minutes. If there's anyone that wants to ask any questions, if you want me to go over something again, please feel free to unmute yourself and do that. Or Ophelia, Carmen, you could bring something up from the chat.
Can you review, please, how to create the channel?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Okay. So from Teams. So again, you're going to go to Teams from Office 365, right? You click on the Teams icon. And when you're in Teams, you're more than likely going to be on a page that looks like this. This is like your landing page. So you should already have classes created by the district. So you'll just find the class that you want. And then from there, so I'm going to just click on this one as an example. I am going to click on the ellipses that you see on the left-hand side, which is called the left rail. And when I click it, it asks for me to add a channel. When I click add channel, I can name my channel. And then as I scroll down, there's an option for privacy. Standard channels are viewable to every single person in the team. Private channels are only accessible to specific people that you give access to. So if it's office hours, I would keep it as standard, and I would make sure I select this little box that says automatically show this channel, so that when I do create the channel, it shows up in this list and it's not hidden. You see how these two are hidden? Okay, it automatically shows up. So again, ellipses, add channel, name your channel, and hit submit. That's how you create a channel.
Michelle.
Yeah.
Would you show me how to change the order of my teams?
From this view right here.
Let me get back to the view. I'm only seeing. Okay, here we are. Yes. Yes. Because I have 5 classes, well, 8 classes, but my 8th period class for some reason is in front of my first period. And I would like them to be in numerical order.
I understand. So all you have to do is just literally drag and drop.
In that view.
Yeah, while you're in this view. So make sure you like double click here on the left hand side on Teams. So you're in this view, and then you just drag. You can just drag and drop to where you want it to go.
Thank you.
Michelle, can you please show how to start a Zoom meeting through Teams?
Yeah, so what you would have to have the Zoom app downloaded from Teams. So you would go to the App Store here, and you would search for Zoom, and you would have to make sure you have that add-in installed, right? So once that add-in is installed, you're able to, you're actually going to have a different camera down here at the bottom. So you see how this camera is dark? The Microsoft Teams camera is actually gray. So this is a Zoom camera, and I can start a meeting or schedule a meeting by clicking on that Zoom option and starting a meeting and schedule a meeting in Teams, from Zoom in Teams. Once you add the app, it should show up like on the left-hand side. If you click the ellipses, it might show up somewhere in here, but you have to add the app from the App Store on the left-hand side. Go to the App Store, search for Zoom, add the app. You also have to go through some authentication, like signing in with your Dade schools, choosing your domain. The district has that information for you on icp.dadeschools.net, I believe, or is it distance learning.dadeschools? They have a user guide for you on how to set up the Zoom. I think it's distancelearning.dadeschools.net under educator resources. And you should, oh, they changed it a little bit here. So there's a whole user quick guide on securing your Zoom right here. Okay.
Thank you.
It talks about it there. So distancelearning.dadeschools.net. But ultimately in the team, once you have the app in the team, there's going to be a little bar, a little app icon on the left-hand side here. And when you're in your channel, when you're in your actual class Teams channel, you'll be able to see the Zoom camera. So in my office hours or in my online meetings channel, here's my Zoom camera. I click it to start a meeting or schedule a meeting. Okay?
Thank
All
you.
right. It's 5 o'clock. We are done with the first webinar. And so hopefully you guys got all the questions answered in the chat. So these are really quick, simple webinars just to get to one single point, show you how to do it, and give you some resources to help you along the way. Okay, Audrey, did you want to close this out?
I do. So as a reminder, we will post this and all of our webinars on our YouTube channel. It's YouTube/Education Fund, youtube.com/Education Fund. So all of these webinars, the previous ones that we've done on the basics and the ones that we're doing this week and next week will be on our YouTube channel. So in case you missed a point, you'll be able to go and look at it on the YouTube channel at your own time. We'll be back at 5:30. I'm going to stick around. If people have any questions about other things that the Education Fund does, you can feel free to ask. Michelle, Ophelia, and Carmen are going to, I assume, take a break and be back at 5:30, right?
Okay, it's a different link, right, for the next one?
I think it is, but I mean,
Yeah, I think so.
I need to take these webinars more than half of the teachers, so I'm still trying to learn all this stuff too. So I did send another link, but I think we've got people joining now that may be for the 5:30. But if anybody has any other questions about the Education Fund and our grants or our other programs, happy to answer them now while Michelle, Ophelia, and Carmen take a break until the 5:30. Please remember, all of our webinars are being recorded, so keep that in mind. If anybody, the YouTube channel again. Thank you, Michelle, Carmen, and Ophelia. We'll see you guys in a half an hour.
Okay.
And I'll be so if anybody has any questions, about the Ed Fund. So yes, the YouTube channel again. I'll type it in the chat box. It's YouTube.
Thank you.
YouTube.com/Education Fund. All of our webinars are available on it.
Thank you so much. I'll be there for 5:30.
Yes, ma'am. All right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, everybody. If anybody has any other questions, let me know. If not, I'll see you guys at 5:30 if you're coming back for the next one. And also, we have one tomorrow on using YouTube.
We'll leave this meeting.
So we're going to have another link. If you signed up for the 5:30, there was another link. So I'm going to end this meeting shortly unless anybody has any questions. Hi, Ms. Hernandez. How are you?
Hi, everybody.
It's always nice to see you. Dr. Simonette was here. So yeah, we'll see you guys at 5:30. I'm going to end this meeting now and you'll sign in for the new one. And I'll see you then. Okay.
Is it too late to join the next meeting?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
So did you get a link for it?
I don't know. I'll check my email now.
Okay, I can send it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
Okay, thanks.
Bye-bye.